A man with no friends is not defined by isolation, but by the profound clarity and strength found in solitude. Stripped of the noise of external validation, he discovers the power of self-reliance, cultivating a connection with his inner world that few dare to explore. This journey inward reveals the richness of his spirit, the depth of his thoughts, and the resilience born from facing life on his own terms. Imagine a man who walks through life without friends, unbound by the familiar ties that society insists are essential for completeness. To an outsider, his life might appear lonely or isolated, a path devoid of the connection and companionship that many deem fundamental. Yet beneath this apparent solitude lies a deeper truth, a truth that can only emerge in the quiet moments of introspection. It is a truth that reveals the profound strength and clarity found in solitude, a freedom from the need for approval, validation, or companionship. In this silence, he begins to see life through a different lens. While society often measures success by the relationships we build, he discovers that fulfillment does not depend on others. His solitude becomes not a void, but a space for growth, reflection, and self-discovery. It allows him to explore the depths of his own spirit, to hear his thoughts without interruption, and to understand himself in ways that external relationships may never reveal. This journey inward, though unconventional, becomes his most meaningful pursuit, a testament to the richness of a life lived authentically, free from the expectations of others. This man's path is far from barren. It is, in fact, profoundly rich and abundant. Though he walks alone, he is accompanied by an unshakable inner strength, the boundless depth of his own spirit, and the vivid landscapes of his mind. True fulfillment, he comes to realize, is not something that can be given or taken by others. It is not a commodity to be traded or a prize to be won. Instead, it is a deep, enduring reservoir lying dormant within, waiting to be uncovered through quiet self-reflection, solitude, and the kind of introspection that reveals the essence of who one truly is. Fulfillment, he learns, is not reliant on external validation or the fleeting approval of others. It cannot be attained through material possessions, social accolades, or even relationships. It is cultivated in the quiet moments when one dares to face themselves fully, unguarded and honest. In these moments, he realizes that fulfillment comes not from chasing something outside himself, but from nurturing the profound connection within. The strength he derives from this realization is transformative. It is the kind of strength that allows him to walk alone with confidence, knowing that his worth is not contingent upon the opinions of others. It liberates him from the constant need for affirmation and replaces that need with a steadfast assurance that he is enough, just as he is. This richness of spirit does not make his path easier. Rather, it makes it meaningful. It enables him to see solitude not as a void, but as a fertile ground where growth occurs, where the mind flourishes, and where the soul begins to shine. This journey to self-discovery and inner peace becomes the foundation upon which his life is built, and he embraces it fully. Finding richness where others might see desolation. In the silence of his own company, he embarks on a journey of self-exploration that few are brave enough to undertake. What lies within is not emptiness, as society might lead him to fear, but a vast, fertile terrain rich with hidden treasures. These treasures, buried under layers of societal expectations and external noise, hold the key to a fulfillment that is both enduring and deeply personal. It is not a fleeting sensation, nor is it dependent on circumstances outside his control. Instead, it is a reservoir of inner abundance that grows as he continues to nurture it through solitude and self-reflection. As he strips away the noise of the outside world, the expectations imposed by family, friends, and society, he begins to experience a profound sense of liberation. This detachment is not an escape, but a deliberate choice to prioritize his relationship with himself. In this space, he is no longer bound by the need to meet others' standards or to conform to societal norms. Instead, he is free to define his own values and live in alignment with them. This process of turning inward is not always easy. There are moments of discomfort, even fear, as he confronts aspects of himself that had long been buried. Yet these moments are where the greatest growth occurs. It is through facing these shadows that he learns to embrace all parts of himself, cultivating a sense of wholeness that no external relationship could ever provide. In the silence, he begins to see his solitude not as a void, but as a mirror reflecting his true self. Each day spent in self-exploration adds richness and depth to his understanding of life. He learns to appreciate the beauty of his own company, finding solace in the stillness and joy in the simple act of being present with himself. This journey inward transforms his perspective, making him realize that the greatest treasures in life are not found in the external world, but within the uncharted territories of his own mind and spirit. It is in this inner abundance that he discovers a fulfillment that no external influence can take away, a sense of peace and purpose that comes from knowing and accepting himself completely. In the absence of friends, a man discovers a profound liberation. There is no one to seek validation from, no one to impose their opinions, and no one to pass judgments. The solitude he embraces is not a prison, but a sanctuary, free from the societal demands to impress, please, or conform. In this space of quiet independence, he begins to explore his thoughts without the need to filter them for approval. Realizing how often his inner voice had been muted by the expectations of others, as the layers of external influences fall away, he starts to recognize the weight he once placed on the opinions of those around him. His thoughts, once clouded by the need to measure up, flow freely, untainted by the fear of judgment. He begins to listen to himself with a new depth of understanding, allowing his mind to explore questions, ideas, and emotions that had long been suppressed. The solitude teaches him an invaluable lesson. The approval he once sought from others is not a prerequisite for inner peace. He learns that the opinions of the outside world, though often loud and insistent, do not define his worth. As he spends more time in this state of self-reliance, he begins to notice subtle but profound changes in his outlook. The pressure to perform, to meet arbitrary standards set by others, fades away. In its place, a sense of authenticity emerges, a feeling of being aligned with his true self. This authenticity is empowering, giving him the strength to embrace his imperfections without shame and his strengths without arrogance. Over time, he discovers that the freedom to exist without external validation is one of the greatest gifts of solitude. It allows him to reclaim his sense of self, to redefine his priorities, and to cultivate a deep inner peace that cannot be shaken by the fleeting opinions of others. This newfound independence becomes the foundation of his happiness, a reminder that he is enough, just as he is. At first, the absence of external validation can feel unsettling, even disorienting. For so long, he had looked outward for affirmation, measuring his value against the standards and opinions of others. But as he begins to shift his focus inward, he discovers a quieter, steadier sense of worth. This inner freedom is not contingent on success or praise. It is a state of being that comes from recognizing his inherent value as a person, simply for existing. This newfound freedom becomes the cornerstone of a life rooted in deep satisfaction. No longer does he feel the need to chase approval or strive for validation from others. Instead, his happiness is cultivated from within, built upon the solid foundation of self-understanding and self-respect. He learns that contentment does not rely on the presence of others or external achievements. It is shaped by his own perspective, his ability to find joy in small, meaningful moments, and his capacity to align his life with his authentic values. This path of self-approval also brings clarity to his priorities. Freed from the burden of pleasing others, he begins to make choices that genuinely reflect his desires and aspirations. His life becomes more intentional, guided by his own principles rather than the expectations of society. This alignment with his true self brings a profound sense of peace, as he no longer feels the need to justify his existence or prove his worth to anyone but himself. Ultimately, the journey of self-approval teaches him the most valuable lesson of all, that happiness and contentment are not external gifts, but internal states of mind. By trusting his own voice and embracing his inherent worth, he builds a life that is deeply satisfying and unshakably his own. He comes to understand that true fulfillment is not found in the fleeting moments of social connection that so many chase after. While companionship and interactions with others can be enjoyable, they are often transitory, providing only temporary satisfaction. Through solitude and introspection, he realizes that his thoughts, feelings, and experiences are enough. He no longer feels the need to seek validation from others or rely on external relationships to define his sense of self-worth. This newfound understanding liberates him, breaking the chains of dependency on social connections and allowing him to embrace his independence fully. He sees that completeness is not something others can provide. It is something he carries within himself. The relationship he builds with himself becomes the foundation for his happiness and resilience. This internal bond gives him the strength to navigate life's challenges with confidence, knowing that he can rely on himself no matter what. This journey is not without its challenges. There are moments when the absence of companionship feels heavy, and the pull of human connection tugs at his heart. Yet these moments only reinforce the importance of his inner relationship. He learns to sit with these feelings without being consumed by them, to honor his longing for connection without letting it define him. In doing so, he discovers that even the ache of loneliness can coexist with the deep contentment he finds within. He understands that fulfillment is not about the number of connections he makes, but the quality of the connection he has with himself. This steady, unwavering relationship becomes his anchor, guiding him through the ebbs and flows of life with grace and unwavering confidence. Yet, this path of self-reliance is not always easy. There are moments when the absence of companionship feels like a heavy weight pressing against his chest, a poignant reminder of the innate human longing for connection. These moments are marked by a deep yearning, a quiet ache that whispers of the bonds he might have once sought with others. But instead of succumbing to this longing, he chooses to confront it with courage and introspection. He views these feelings not as obstacles, but as opportunities to look even deeper within himself for solace and understanding. Through these moments of yearning, he learns valuable lessons about the nature of loneliness and connection. He realizes that the longing he feels is not a weakness, but a reflection of his humanity, a natural part of being alive. By sitting with these emotions, he begins to understand that true solace does not come from avoiding or suppressing these feelings, but from accepting them as part of his journey. In this acceptance, he finds a quiet strength, a resilience that grows with every moment of introspection. This process of confronting and embracing his longing allows him to deepen his relationship with himself. He learns to provide the comfort and reassurance he once sought from others, becoming his own source of stability and peace. Over time, these moments of yearning become less frequent, replaced by a profound sense of contentment rooted in his own being. He discovers that his inner world is vast and rich enough to hold both the light of joy and the shadow of longing, and that these two states can coexist without diminishing his overall sense of fulfillment. This journey teaches him that independence is not about rejecting the need for connection, but about finding balance. It is about recognizing that while companionship can bring warmth and joy, true happiness and confidence come from within. With this understanding, he walks his path with renewed strength, embracing both the challenges and rewards of his independence as he moves closer to the wholeness he seeks. Through these moments of introspection, he comes to a profound realization. Fulfillment is not the absence of desire or loneliness. These feelings, often seen as burdens, are intrinsic to the human experience and cannot simply be erased or ignored. Instead, fulfillment lies in the ability to coexist with them, to find peace within oneself despite their presence. He learns that true contentment is not about banishing discomfort, but about embracing it as part of a balanced, authentic life. This understanding transforms his perspective. He begins to see his inner world not as a battleground for conflicting emotions, but as a vast, complex space capable of holding both joy and longing. His moments of happiness no longer feel diminished by the shadows of loneliness, and his feelings of yearning no longer consume his sense of peace. Instead, these contrasting emotions coexist, creating a rich tapestry of experiences that deepens his understanding of himself. Learning to sit with both joy and longing without losing his balance is an act of profound self-mastery. It requires patience, acceptance, and a willingness to face emotions that many would prefer to avoid. This inner harmony empowers him to approach life with greater confidence. No longer does he feel the need to chase constant happiness or run from moments of sadness. Instead, he allows himself to feel everything fully, understanding that both light and shadow are essential to a complete and meaningful existence. In this balance, he finds a deep and enduring peace, one that is not easily shaken by the external world. The man without friends comes to recognize that the external world often acts as a distraction from true self-discovery. Amid the constant chatter, opinions, and influences of others, it becomes easy to lose sight of one's authentic self. Now, in the silence of solitude, he finds a clarity that was previously obscured. Without the noise of external expectations, he is able to hear his own thoughts more distinctly, each one rising to the surface with a crispness he had never noticed before. This newfound quiet allows him to delve deeper into his heart and mind, revealing the layers of complexity within. In this silence, he begins to feel his own heart more deeply. The feelings he once buried beneath the demands of daily life now rise to meet him. These emotions, unfiltered and raw, are no longer dulled by the need to conform or please. He discovers that within this emotional honesty lies a deeper connection to his true self. It is a connection untainted by the judgments of others, allowing him to explore his values, dreams, and fears with a level of honesty he had never experienced before. As he reflects, he realizes that many of his past desires and decisions were not truly his own. They were shaped by the invisible hand of societal norms and the need to fit in or be liked. The validation he once sought from others had clouded his ability to see what he genuinely wanted out of life. In trying to meet the expectations of others, he had overlooked his own. Now, in the quiet of his solitude, he begins to strip away these layers, peeling back the external influences that had defined his choices. This process is not without its challenges. Confronting the ways in which he had let others dictate his path requires courage and self-compassion. He must face the realization that some of his past efforts and achievements were driven by a desire for acceptance rather than authenticity. Yet, as he works through these revelations, he feels a growing sense of liberation. Each layer he sheds brings him closer to the core of who he truly is, unburdened by the expectations of the outside world. With this clarity, he starts to redefine his desires and aspirations. He begins to ask himself questions he had once avoided. What do I truly value? What brings me joy? What am I willing to fight for? These questions, while daunting, guide him toward a life that feels more aligned with his inner truth. The answers he uncovers are not always simple, but they are deeply satisfying because they are his own. The man discovers that solitude is not a void, but a space of immense potential. It is a sanctuary where he can reconnect with his authentic self, free from the distractions of the external world. In this quiet, he finds not only who he is, but also who he wants to become, forging a path forward with clarity, purpose, and unwavering self-awareness. In the sanctuary of solitude, he finds himself assuming the roles of both teacher and guide. Without friends to lean on or the external voices that once influenced his path, he begins to rely solely on his own wisdom and intuition to navigate life's challenges. This self-reliance is not born from arrogance, but from necessity, a necessity that fosters a profound transformation within him. As he learns to trust himself more deeply, he uncovers an inner strength that had long been overshadowed by the need for validation and support from others. At first, this journey feels uncertain, even daunting. The absence of a familiar support system forces him to confront the weight of his decisions entirely on his own. Yet with every choice he makes and every obstacle he overcomes, his self-trust grows. He begins to see that he is not only capable, but also resilient and resourceful. Each experience, whether a success or a setback, becomes a lesson, a testament to his ability to adapt, learn, and move forward with unwavering determination. In this process, he discovers that true self-trust is not about always having the right answers, but about believing in his capacity to find solutions, no matter the circumstances. He learns to embrace the uncertainty of life, knowing that he possesses the tools within himself to face whatever comes his way. This newfound confidence is not dependent on external approval or guidance. It is rooted entirely in his own experiences and the wisdom he derives from them. This self-reliance transforms the way he views challenges. What once might have seemed insurmountable now appears as an opportunity for growth. Each decision he makes, free from external influence, feels authentic and aligned with his values. He no longer seeks validation from others to confirm the worth of his choices. Instead, he trusts his instincts, allowing them to guide him toward a life that feels deeply his own. Over time, this reliance on self becomes the foundation of his identity. He begins to appreciate the independence that comes with standing firmly on his own 2 feet. This independence is not isolating but empowering, as it allows him to approach the world with a sense of clarity and strength. He realizes that he does not need others to validate his worth or direct his path because he has cultivated a relationship with himself that is unshakable. He understands that being his own guide does not mean rejecting the company or advice of others, but recognizing that his inner voice holds the most power. By relying on his own wisdom, he builds a life defined by authenticity and self-trust, a life that is truly his own. This self-trust is a profound gift, one that cannot be given by others, but must be cultivated through the twin processes of self-reliance and deep inner reflection. It is a treasure discovered only by those willing to embark on the challenging yet rewarding journey of turning inward. For the man without friends, this self-trust becomes the cornerstone of his life, a steady force that anchors him in times of uncertainty and empowers him in moments of decision. As this self-trust grows, he begins to experience a new kind of joy, a joy that is quiet and subtle, yet profoundly transformative. Unlike the fleeting happiness derived from external achievements or relationships, this joy emerges from the simple act of being present with himself. It is a contentment that blooms in solitude. In the moments when he sits alone with his thoughts and feels no need to distract himself with the noise of the outside world. This joy is not tied to the approval of others, nor does it rely on the presence of companionship. It is unwavering and resilient, existing independently of external circumstances. Even in the face of life's inevitable challenges, this inner joy remains a constant, a source of strength that he can draw upon when the world feels uncertain or overwhelming. It is a joy that cannot be diminished by the absence of others, because it is rooted in the one thing that can never be taken from him, his own being. As he reflects on this transformation, he realizes that the joy he experiences is not a reward for his solitude, but a natural byproduct of the peace he has cultivated within. By embracing his own company and valuing the relationship he has with himself, he has unlocked a source of happiness that is both profound and enduring. It is a joy that does not demand constant stimulation or external validation, but thrives in the quiet moments of life. This inner joy becomes his constant companion, a steady light that illuminates his path, even in the darkest times. It allows him to approach life with a sense of calm and gratitude, knowing that he possesses within himself all the tools he needs to find happiness and fulfillment. In this realization, he discovers the true meaning of self-reliance, not just as a means of survival, but as a gateway to a deeper, richer existence. His quiet inner joy becomes his steadfast companion, a source of light that illuminates even the darkest moments and accompanies him through all of life's changes. Unlike the fleeting pleasures derived from external circumstances, this joy is constant, rooted deeply in the relationship he has cultivated with himself. It serves as a reminder that true fulfillment is not found in the accumulation of experiences or relationships, but in the profound, unshakable connection he has established with his own soul. He realizes that fulfillment is not something that can be earned, acquired, or granted by others. It is not about achieving milestones, collecting accolades, or maintaining an ever-expanding social circle. Instead, it is about nurturing an inner world so rich and complete that external validation becomes unnecessary. This understanding frees him from the endless pursuit of approval and allows him to focus on what truly matters, his own growth, peace, and authenticity. Sitting in silence, he discovers the profound peace that comes from simply being. In these quiet moments, he feels no pressure to perform, no need to meet the expectations of others. The stillness becomes a sanctuary where he can reconnect with himself, reflect on his values, and find clarity amidst the chaos of the world. This ability to sit with himself in silence is not a sign of loneliness, but of profound wholeness, a testament to the strength and completeness he has found within. As he walks through life, this sense of wholeness becomes his foundation. He is no longer swayed by the opinions or actions of others, nor does he feel the need to fill his life with distractions to avoid confronting his own thoughts. Instead, he embraces life with a quiet confidence, knowing that he carries within himself everything he needs to navigate its challenges. This inner connection gives him the resilience to face uncertainty, the clarity to make decisions aligned with his values, and the strength to remain true to himself. He understands that this deep connection with his soul is the essence of true fulfillment. It is not dependent on anyone else, nor can it be taken away by external forces. It is a state of being, a quiet, enduring presence that accompanies him wherever he goes. With this realization, he moves through life with grace and purpose, at peace with himself and the world around him. This inner fulfillment becomes the lens through which he views the world, transforming his entire perspective on life. No longer does he feel the need to chase external goals or people in a desperate bid to feel complete. The realization that he is already whole, that his worth is intrinsic and not reliant on external factors, brings a profound and lasting sense of peace. This peace is not fleeting or conditional. It is a steady, unshakable presence that frees him from the endless pursuit of validation and approval. He begins to see the world differently. The societal measures of success, status, accolades, and social standing lose their hold over him. He no longer feels compelled to compare himself to others or to meet expectations that do not align with his own values. This newfound freedom allows him to live authentically, guided by his inner voice rather than external pressures. Each step he takes is deliberate and aligned with the person he has discovered himself to be. The journey to this inner fulfillment is, at its core, a journey of self-love. It is a process of learning to cherish oneself, to see one's own worth without needing others to confirm it. He learns to treat himself with the same kindness and compassion he once reserved for others. This self-love is not selfish or indulgent, but deeply empowering, as it forms the foundation for a life lived with intention and integrity. Through this process, he gains a deeper understanding of what it means to truly love oneself. It is not about ignoring flaws or denying weaknesses, but about embracing them as part of the human experience. He learns to accept himself fully, his strengths and imperfections alike, knowing that they are all pieces of the unique individual he is. This acceptance allows him to move through life with a sense of confidence and ease, unburdened by the weight of self-doubt. This inner transformation also shifts the way he interacts with others, free from the need to seek validation or approval. His relationships become richer and more meaningful. He approaches others not from a place of need or insecurity, but from a place of wholeness. This wholeness enables him to give freely without expecting anything in return, fostering connections that are built on mutual respect and genuine understanding. This journey of self-love leads him to a profound realization that true fulfillment is not something to be sought or achieved, but something to be cultivated within. It is the quiet assurance that he is enough, just as he is, and that no external circumstance or relationship can add to or detract from his inherent worth. With this understanding, he steps into each day with a sense of freedom and purpose, knowing that the love he has for himself is the greatest gift he could ever possess. This self-love is neither selfish nor isolating. It is a love that nurtures his ability to be fully present and authentic in every moment. It is a quiet, profound connection to himself that allows him to embrace his true nature without judgment or pretense. With this self-love, he no longer feels the need to perform for others or to shape himself according to external expectations. Instead, he lives with a genuine openness, allowing his actions and words to flow from a place of honesty and integrity. This newfound self-love transforms the way he approaches the world. No longer burdened by the need for validation, he interacts with others from a place of generosity and abundance. His openness is not driven by a desire to gain something in return, but by the simple joy of sharing his authentic self. He is able to give freely his time, his attention, his care, because his sense of wholeness is no longer tied to how others respond. This shift brings a lightness to his relationships, freeing him from the invisible chains of expectation and dependency. When he chooses to form relationships, they are richer and more meaningful than ever before. These connections are no longer rooted in need or fear of loneliness, but are built on mutual respect and shared understanding. He no longer approaches others with the unspoken hope that they will fill a void within him, for he knows that his wholeness comes from within. This absence of need allows him to be fully present, to listen deeply, and to offer his true self without reservation. This self-love also fosters a sense of courage and resilience. He is unafraid to let others see him as he is, flaws and all, because he has already embraced those parts of himself. This acceptance creates a foundation of trust, not only in himself, but also in the people he chooses to let into his life. He learns that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength, one that deepens the bonds he shares with others. This self-love becomes the wellspring from which his most meaningful relationships flow. It allows him to approach life with a sense of openness, curiosity, and generosity, confident that his worth is not determined by anyone else. In embracing himself fully, he gains the freedom to form connections that are genuine and fulfilling, enriching his life without compromising his independence or authenticity. In the end, the man without friends uncovers a profound truth. True fulfillment is not something to be pursued, gained, or lost. It is a state of being. It is the quiet understanding that he is enough, that he has always been enough. This realization fills him with a deep and abiding sense of peace, a constant presence that anchors him through life's changes. He discovers that his worth is intrinsic, unshaken by the opinions or actions of others, and that his completeness is not contingent on external validation. This fulfillment transforms the way he moves through the world. With this knowledge, he no longer feels the need to seek approval or to prove himself. Instead, he walks through life with a sense of calm and clarity, confident in his ability to navigate life's challenges. This inner freedom allows him to embrace each moment fully, unburdened by the pressures of comparison or the longing for companionship. He understands now that with or without friends, he possesses everything he needs within himself. This truth empowers him to live authentically, to cherish his own company, and to appreciate the richness of his inner world. In this self-reliance, he finds not only freedom, but also purpose, a life rooted in the quiet strength of knowing he is truly whole.